Today we're going to be looking at an M16 that's most affiliated with the famous movie Scarface. So what is going on, guys? This is Chris back with FrozenSoldierAirsoft, and today we're going to be reviewing the G&P M16-A3 with an M203 grenade launcher. So the first thing that you notice when you purchase this weapon from evike.com or any other distributor that carries this gun, you're going to notice that it comes in a box that's pretty flashy, standard G&P cardboard, really not a whole lot to go over. So upon removing the top cover of the cardboard, you're going to notice that it comes decently packaged with styrofoam, and then pulling the styrofoam off, you're going to notice, oh my, bubble wrap. So for whatever reason, G&P likes to ship this gun completely wrapped in bubble wrap. It's not a bad thing, but I really like the foam cutouts that most other guns come with. It's not going to get damaged in shipping, so I'm not worried about that, but that's just kind of personal preference. I think it's a little sloppy for how much you're paying for that it's wrapped in bubble wrap, but once again, it's not going to damage your gun in any way, shape, or form. So the first thing that you're going to notice when you open this gun is that it's going to come with a 140 round mid-capacity magazine. The reason why I say mid-capacity is because I've had nothing but troubles with this mid-cap, and I'll go over details a little bit later. The next thing that it's going to come with is a pretty cool metal flash hider. This is awesome that G&P includes this in the box, considering that most of the time when you buy this aftermarket, it can be anywhere from $10 to even $100 for a flash hider. So it's pretty cool. It is made out of steel, so just keep that in mind. The next thing that's going to come with is, for whatever reason, they decided to wrap the noob tube for the M203 separate from the entire gun. Not sure why they did that, but obviously I'll show you how to slide this on a little bit later. Now, another thing this gun comes with is the manual. It's a standard G&P M16-A4 manual. For whatever reason, I cannot find this bloody thing. I put it in like a little accordion file for a do this review later, but for whatever reason it's gone, so it comes with the gun. It's a so-so manual. It's really not that bad. I would suggest holding on to it if you don't know the basics of an M4 rifle. And finally, the M16-A3 with the M203 itself. So upon removing the M16 from all the bubble wrap, I'm going to show you guys how to put on the M203 launcher onto the gun. It's pretty simple. So all you really want to do is flip the gun up like so. There's this little tiny tab right here that you're going to have to push down with the grenade launcher. So take this little metal slider piece, depress that down, and then slide it into place. Boom, it's that simple. Now that assembling the gun completely is out of the way, let's go over the gun's external build. So starting from front to rear, I'm going to name off all the parts that are made out of plastic and all the parts that are made out of aluminum. So all the plastic parts are the orange tip, the plastic handguard on the top here, the pistol grip, the stock, and of course this little plastic part for the grenade launcher itself. Now everything else on this rifle that I didn't say was made out of high-grade polymer is going to be made out of aluminum, which is pretty cool, cuts down all that weight, and it's pretty durable. Anyhow, with the external build quality away, let's go over to the gun's external features. So starting from front to rear, I'm going to name off all the features that come on this weapon. So starting from the front of the rifle, you're going to notice it comes with a standard M16/M4 triangle sight, which is only adjustable for elevation. The next thing you'll notice is it comes with a standard M203 flip-up grenade launcher sight. Pretty cool. It has some pretty nice painted numbers on there as well, so pretty cool that G&P included that with that detail. Now obviously moving down to the carrying handle / rear sight, it can be adjusted for elevation and windage, as well as having two standard flip-up apps. So upon flipping the rifle over like so, I'm going to show you how to adjust the hop-up. All you have to do is simply pull back on this charging handle like so, and that's going to reveal your hop-up unit. Now kind of notice how it locks back. For whatever reason, G&P put a pretty weak spring in the charging handle so it doesn't slam forward, which I think is a pretty cool thing. It's not a bolt catch to say, you can't hit the bolt release on the opposite side for it to slam forward, but it kind of holds it open, so that way you don't have to hold, your gun this way and then kind of adjust the hop-up dial like so. Another thing I'd like to go over is the selector switch on this weapon. It is a standard M16/M4 selector switch. Another thing I'd like to mention real quick about the selector switch is that obviously you can tell it has the HK style trade selector, whatever you want to call that, with the pictogram. Pretty cool. I like that feature since I kind of like HK weapons. Another thing I want to go over, it has a standard M16/M4 style magazine release. All you have to do is depress this button. It's not ambidextrous, and it's only found on this side of the rifle. Now, since we're talking about the magazine release, I might as well talk about the magazine in a little bit more detail. I've had nothing but feeding problems with this magazine, to be 100% honest. What happens actually, no matter how many times I clean it out or readjust it or tighten screws, if for whatever reason, what it likes to do is it'll double stack inside the magazine and cause jams about half halfway through. So that 140 rounds, you're really only getting about 70-ish until it decides to jam. The only way I've figured out how to get it unjammed during a firefight is to just repeatedly beat the thing on a rock till it decides to spring forward. Even then, it still has feeding problems. The only one good benefit from this mid-gap magazine is it actually is made out of steel. Pretty sweet, but other than that, oh, it's such a bad mag. And notice that it did break here on the top as well. Now, flipping the rifle over like so, you're going to notice where the sling mount points are. There are 2 sling mount points located on the weapon. Please ignore this one. This is actually an aftermarket one that I got, but when you buy the weapon, there's not going to be a quick detach sling mount located here. Obviously, there's going to be one located towards the front, towards the gas tube, and one located on the stock. Pretty standard M16 stuff. Now, obviously, since this gun has the iconic Scarface handguard M16, whatever you want to call this here, I'm going to go over the grenade launcher in a little bit more detail. Now, this little button right here, if you depress it forward, it'll actually slide your grenade launcher open, allowing you to load any kind of 40mm airsoft grenade shell. Now, since this is a standard M203 grenade launcher, to activate the safety, all you have to do is pull this little tiny lever here, and it won't allow you to pull the trigger. Pretty cool. The noob tube, as I like to call it, is pretty simplistic, but cool nonetheless. So with all those awesome external features out of the way, let's go over the internal features. Now, this is where the gun, in my opinion, doesn't shine, at least in my experience. Now, just like every other GMP M16 on the market, it's going to come standard with a stock M120 spring. It's going to have a barrel length of 509 millimeters, standard M16, and it's going to come with the GMP high torque motor, along with 8mm ball bearings for the gearbox, and as well as steel heat-treated gears. Not to mention, the gun also comes stock with GMP's white polymer piston. It does have a full plastic tooth rack, minus the first tooth is made out of metal, and the last tooth is shaved off to correct their terrible AOE, which I'll go over a little bit later. Now, since it does have that stock M120 spring, it's going to be shooting around 400 to 420 feet per second for the first couple thousand shots. Afterwards, it's going to die around maybe about 380 to 400. Now, the really cool thing about this gun is that this comes stock with that GMP high torque M120 motor. It is going to be shooting out of the box at 23 to 25 rounds a second. This thing is a BB hose. Now, you're probably wondering where the battery goes in this rifle. Obviously, since it's M16, GMP rear-wired it to the stock. It's going to hold a massive battery. It is rear-wired, and it comes with a large type Tamiya connector. Keep that in mind, it does not have GMP standard Dean's connectors. It is a large type Tamiya connector. To access the battery compartment, all you have to do is simply depress on this little lever right here, which is kind of a pain to get with no fingernails, but all you have to do is slide down that trapdoor, and it's going to reveal where your battery goes. Now, since this gun is absolutely massive, I don't see any reason why you'd ever bring this into a CQB environment, but if you do want to do that, you can always downgrade the spring, but I recommend this gun to field use only. Now, earlier I was kind of mentioning the gearbox problems I've had with this gun, and I think it's about time to go over what my personal experience was and why I had a lot of trouble with this gun. So one disclaimer I'd like to say, if any of these problems that I'm about to list happens to you when you buy this weapon, send that sucker back. It will save you all the grief and all the anger and frustration I've had on this awesome yet terrible rifle. And I'll explain a little bit more detail. So, first day I got this, brought it out to our field, played, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6 hours of continuous airsoft. It fed flawlessly, shot flawlessly, worked amazing. I bring it home, last game, the fuse blows. I figured, that's pretty easy, fuse blow. Put the new fuse in there, pull the trigger. Trigger's not working. I'm like, okay, well, this is a little bit different. Maybe the wiring went sour. I pull it once again, and I kid you not, here is the trigger that it came with. It snapped clean off. Now, this is when a normal airsofter would go, oh yeah, we should probably send this gun back. But no, not me. I wasn't smart enough to send the gun back, after only playing one game, and I've had it in my possession for 2 days. So I figured, I got the extra parts. We'll put it together, okay? Not too bad. So I take the gun apart, put the new trigger in there, fix all the wiring, works great, take it out. About 1,200 rounds later, it strips a piston. I mean, that's ridiculous, okay? 1,200 rounds, a gun shouldn't even have any wear on the piston, let alone it completely snapping the back part of the piston off. So I figure, oh, okay, well, I'll just buy another piston. So I go out, buy another GMP stock white piston. It's been running fine ever since, don't get me wrong, but put that sucker in there, shoot it, a couple hundred rounds. It sounds god-awful. The AOE on this gun is terrible. Right off the bat, that's what you'd be thinking about. The shim job is terrible. Another thing, right off the bat, fix that. As soon as you adjust the AOE and you shim the gearbox correctly, this thing runs like a champ. I've had no problems whatsoever after that. So with my little personal experience and grief out of the way, that about wraps up the review of the G&P M16-A3 with the M203 grenade launcher. Wait, one thing I'd like to mention real quick is that we are going to be doing a shooting/chronograph test of this awesome M16. I will have that video out hopefully in the next couple of weeks here, and you'll see that annotation on the screen somewhere. If you enjoyed the video, slap that like button. And as always, please subscribe.